Hey guys, Corey here on the Hip Kit Club YouTube channel. All this month I am going to be working on my December documented album. That's the only thing that I'm going to be doing this month. I'm not going to be doing any other pages. So it's pretty exciting because I haven't done this project in 2 years. Last time I did it was 2017. And it was funny, as Kimberly knows, it actually just about killed me. But my daughter, who's now 13, told me at the time that it was the most favorite project that I've ever done. So I was very much inspired to go ahead and do it again this year, but I've got a much better attitude about it and I'm actually really excited. So the first thing I'm going to be doing though is I need to basically swatch all of the different colors and things that we've got in the kits. So this is both the kits. So this is the November kit and then also the December documented kit. I'm using both. And then when December's kit comes out, I'm going to be mixing in those materials as well. But I just wanted to get down here all of the different colors that and different mixed media type of things that we've got in these two kits so that I had a place where I could look and just kind of check and see like what I was looking at using. So there's the Gold Glitter by Jen Hatfield, the Nuvo Crystal Drops, which is kind of like, paint with the little nozzle thing on it. The Lindy's, there's Emerald A, Nuvo Glimmer, which is like a glitter glue, Lindy's Cuckoo Clock Cardinal. The middle one is Lindy's Pa Pink, and the last one is the Nuvo Catherine Wheel. So I got all of those swatched, so I know what I'm looking at. I'm also going to go ahead and just do this embossing powder. It's a gold embossing powder, Moxie Metallic Gold, because I just wanted to see what it was all going to look like. So I'm looking through this and I was kind of comparing the colors with what's in the kits of the papers and embellishments and different things like that. And I decided that I definitely needed to add in a couple other things for my stash. So of course I'm going to have the white acrylic paint. And then I'm also going to use this Vicki Boutin Blue Hawaiian, which came in an old color kit. I don't remember when, but it was a while ago, but like that did come in an old hip color kit. So I'm going to add that in too because there's lots of really good blues in the kit and I definitely want to have those represented in my pages because, well, for one, it's my favorite color. So, so there's that. So now I'm just going to go ahead and start working on the cover and my title page for this album. So that's what I'm actually going to be showing in this video. I'm trying to use mixed media supplies and basically all these things that came in the kits because they're so amazing, and just to get my cover all ready. So I got the mixed media cover, like it's just like chipboard. I love it. It's going to be great, but I definitely wanted to put something on there to make it look kind of fun and not just be so plain because it's craft. And so, like I don't want to necessarily like just have a craft cover. So I had this idea of using these white Christmas trees and decorating each one just slightly different. Kind of representing the 5 people in my family. And I thought that it would be a great way to kind of do this whole cover. I was also going to use one of the stencils. The star stencil is the one that I wanted to use to put stars all around the trees, all on my cover. So that's what I'm really just going to be showing you what I'm doing for that today. I did want to make sure that I was really good about letting all of this stuff dry, which I am terrible about letting stuff dry. But this time I really wanted to make sure that I got it all dry. And I decided to go ahead and use a white piece of paper on my desk so that you guys could really see what all I was doing a little bit better. So right here, I was actually hoping that I could use this acrylic paint and this little like sponge thing with the stencil so I would have a little bit more control over where things go. But I just wasn't able to get like a really clear shape. So I just gave up on that, honestly. And I decided that I would use some paste that came in another old color kit. I just couldn't get the my sponge might not be a good one, but that's why I went ahead and like, tried it out on the paper first. So I'm just using some of this like pasties that came in. I'm mixing it with a little bit of color that I already have on my palette paper. I wanted a little bit of pink and a little bit of green. And I knew that this, I would be able to have a very clear shape, star shape, using the stencil and that pasties. But I just don't necessarily have as much control with that because, I'm like scraping it on versus like painting it on. So whatever. So the first thing I'm doing is just getting basically like dry brush strokes with some of the paint that I already had used right there. I didn't exactly sit there and say, oh, I'm going to do kind of like a, Christmas tree shape on the back, but it came out that way. And I'm so, so glad it did because it just really helps going along with my whole cover anyhow. So I was like super pumped that it came out so cool. So then I'm just trying to get these little stars on my cover, kind of in a circle. It's going to be very freeform. It's not going to be perfect. But because I was overlapping, I did want to go ahead and just help that to dry a little bit because I didn't want to have like smush stars afterwards. But I love the way it came out. It's really, really great. And I did eventually add a little bit more down at the bottom. And I did get the stars in the center, they were still a little bit mushy, and so I wasn't getting, like, I was actually kind of squishing them, but it worked out just fine because that's where the Christmas trees that I have already made are gonna go ahead and they're gonna cover that mushy part up, which works out just fine for me. So now what I want to do is once I get like this cover actually like with some cool stuff on it, I want to actually go through and I want to embellish these little Christmas trees a little bit more with some of the supplies. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, I was going to use that red, but then it was like the same color. So I figured using some of this silver glitter and this glitter glue stuff would be perfect. So I was able to get the little glitter stars all over that tree. Now, on the background, it's really easy to just wipe it off, so no worries there. On this one, I just have a little bit of this blue paint, and I took a really small little paintbrush and just put little dots on the tree. Since there's already circles on it, it all kind of worked together, and it was really just to have like almost like little ornaments or things like that, lights maybe on the tree. It worked out really well, and because the dots were so small, they dried really quickly. This, I'm just going to do this little back and forth swishy thing, kind of like garland that would be on there. This did take a little bit longer to dry, and I actually end up having to fix it later on because I did smush it just a little bit because I didn't have it all the way dry, and that's just fine. And then this one, the gold one, I knew what I wanted to do was emboss a couple of, with the gold embossing powder, a couple of images on this tree. Now, the only thing is I got it really thick in that one dark area, and it just was a little bit tacky. So I actually had to like use my heat gun and get it super duper dry so that my embossing powder wasn't just sticking to the tree and it was actually sticking to the little snowflake image that I put on there. So I actually also did 3 stamps originally, but one of them just was not a very clear image, so I basically just wiped it off. I'm not going to worry about that, and I just embossed the other 2. I was going to go ahead and try it again, but I felt like my Versamark was probably still already on there, and then I would have had like a double image, or it would have even looked worse. So I was like, 2 will work just fine. So as those things were all finishing drying, I got my cover back out. It was, for the most part, dry. I did help it out just a little bit because I didn't want any of this cool background to get, wiped off or wrecked. So then I'm just going to lay the trees out how I want them on my page. I think it came out really cool. So like my initial thought was that I really needed to make sure all of these things were flat, because my thought is if this album is going to get, like manhandled, basically, kids looking at it and stuff, these things, if they were sticking off at all, really were going to just get all beaten up. And before you knew it, the trees, I figured, were going to just be a complete wreck. So, I was thinking, oh my goodness, I really need to like kind of Mod Podge them on. But what I found is like the hot glue with all of this mixed media and stuff, really, these things are super secure on there. So I'm not too worried about it anymore. And then also with all the different paint and different things that I've put on there, the embossing powder and the glitter glue and all that kind of stuff, it just seems to kind of have strengthened the paper that the trees are actually made out of. So I was pretty happy with all of that. So then my next thought is I was going to put 2019 on the cover, and then I decided I would put that on the title page. So I ended up not doing that. So here I'm just touching that up. But you guys, there is my cover. It is finished. And I'm going to go ahead and show you the close-ups of that so you can kind of get an idea before we go into the title page. I really love, I was actually kind of worried thinking, oh my gosh, it's going to look like a hot mess. But all in the end, I'm really, really pleased with the way it turned out. So on this page, which is really just my title page, it's going to say December 2019. I'm just kind of going through all of this stuff and just kind of trying to figure out what I wanted to use. I had a general idea of how I wanted to do the 2019, but nothing else really. And the thing about these kits is they are so jam-packed with the most amazing stuff that I almost felt like somewhat overwhelmed trying to figure out what I was going to use for this. At the time that I'm actually recording this video right now, I actually did day one as well, and I had trouble, kind of putting together how I wanted that to look as well, which is just absolutely ridiculous and crazy. I mean, I should be able to just like whip these together, but it did take me a little bit longer to be able to do all of this. So these number stamps are fantastic. And with the embossing powder, they look really, really cool. So typically when I stamp stuff, I don't do it all at once. I typically will do one number at a time. But I did want these to be fairly evenly placed and pretty much in a straight line. So I did go ahead and find a large acrylic block that I could put them all on there at once so that I could stamp with the Versamark to be able to use the embossing powder, and I'm just stamping it straight on to this white tabbed paper. It's like a mixed media paper, and it came with the album. So I really liked it. It was really cool. So not everything's going to go in a page protector. A lot of this stuff is just the right size, and I'm just going to go ahead and do it right there on this mixed media paper that came with the kit. Or it came with my album. So there's my 2019. Go ahead and emboss that and get that all set. And then I'm going to just go ahead and embellish that, this cover. There's not really much to it. I just wanted to have hey, this is our December for 2019. I did end up writing the Jones family on it, and that's pretty much all it is. It's nothing too over the top. I'm sure that I could have put something a little bit more, put a photo on there or something like that. But I felt like it was just kind of good to have just a cover page that I could go ahead and start. I have since that, I've added kind of just some words that I wrote down about, kind of what I thought about this album and why I was doing it and stuff like that. It's not really a why, it's more of kind of just like a family explanation, and I'll show that later on. But I just adhered that to the back of this because I wasn't going to put a photo or anything on the back of the cover page, so I think it's gonna work out just fine. So I just added some color to the back. I'm just using the same stuff I've already got out, which is great because the color schemes for this cover page and the album cover work together perfectly. It's kind of like this pretty pastel-y, alternative Christmas colors almost. So I really like that. So here I'm trying to use this gold spray mist stuff, and while the color is really pretty, I did not get the most clear image with this stencil on it. I'm sure it's user error. You know, this is not something I do all the time, but if you look really closely, you can kind of see the little snowflake images in the background. It's fine. It didn't work out great, but it's not terrible either. And then I went ahead and tried to get the rest of the color off my stencil for something I could use later, but I don't know if I will. Well, probably, but then again, I'm not entirely sure. We'll see how that goes. I did put everything for my December documented like in its own box. I like try to keep it real organized so that I could get into it whenever I needed it. And I'm just going to go from there. So I'm going to just try and keep all the supplies together. So I guess once my December stuff gets here, then it's really going to be a packed house of all different kinds of cool stuff that I'm able to use on this project, which is fun because quite honestly, I love product. You know, I mean, it's makes me so happy. I mean, the memories, the photos, all of that's really cool, but heck, the product is fantastic, you guys. So here I'm just writing the Jones family on there really carefully. Makes me so nervous to write something directly on the page because what if I messed it up? But I didn't. It's in there. It came out just great, so I'm happy with that. And then I did decide I wanted to add like a little tab up on the tab on this paper, but that's not exactly how I wanted it. That's a little small. So I found one that just said holidays, and I was like, you know what? That is perfect for this. I can go ahead and put that on there. I did go ahead and try and use extra adhesive on everything because I really want everything to stay together because this is an album that I am betting will get looked at. So I want to make sure it's all on there really good. Y'all, that is my cover page. Show you a couple little close-ups. And you guys, so there you go. We've started our December documented, and I hope you stick with me for the month to see everything I've got going in it. Otherwise, I'll talk to you later. Bye.